can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
Hey everybody, welcome to the video and welcome to the channel. Got some what's sold, great items going out here. Kind of getting back to a normal schedule. Still doing some cleaning up around here, but I got the big stuff out of the way that I wanted to do really with my desk. People are still, resellers are still, talking about the economy. There are people out there, who channels you can watch regarding the economy, what things are going on, and a lot of talk is negative right now. Everyone's saying, recession, the consumer's hurting, all this other stuff. You got to watch what's going on. And then all of a sudden you hear people talking about, oh, fourth quarter's coming around. We're going to start selling like crazy. It's going to be, get ready, da-da-da-da. So like on one video, they're negative about everything. And the next video, they're saying, get ready, sales going to go through the roof. So which one is it? Tell me, okay? But first of all, don't listen to resellers, but listen to real, news on economics, the economy, all that stuff. Don't listen to resellers. But I will give my take on things because other people are. So this is Scotty Pillar. Oh, by the way, for reselling, Scotty Pillars, this is a metal one. Does incredibly well in getting stickers off. There are plastic ones too, which work for other applications, but get yourself Scotty Pillars. They will really help getting price tags off. So in regards to the economy is doing fine. I've talked about this before. The economy is doing okay. People for the last 3 years have been saying a recession is on its way. People have been saying we're in a recession the last 3 years. So what is it? Are we in it? Are we not in it? Is it coming? And the answer is, yeah, a recession will come. It's naturally will happen with the economy. It's gonna happen. We can't avoid it. Recessions will happen. Just because that's the way things are set up with our economy and with many economies around the world. It's just you just can't avoid it. So people could say, yeah, recession's coming, and then when it finally hits, they'll be like, look, I was telling you the recession was coming. Yeah, but you were saying that for like the last 3, 4, 5 years. So come on. I mean, at some point you're gonna get it right. And there's different types of people, different types of environments. You all heard the bulls and the bears. There are environments where in the economy things are bearish, and then there are times when they're bullish. So bearish means things are down, bullish things are up. There are some people who are just bearish in general, who are bears in general. People who just, a lot of this applies to stock traders, trading, stuff like that. Not what most people are into, but some people do find it interesting, and some people choose to make that their profession. And there are people who make money off being bears, and there are people who make money off being bullish. Obviously, people that are talking, have a bearish attitude towards things, or are anticipating bear type conditions in the market, they will always speak about that. They will always say, it's doom and gloom. Yeah, everything's great, but look at this. And then there's the opposite side, the bullish people, the people that are always looking towards growth. They're always like, yeah, look at this, we're still growing, you're still going up. And, but there will be signs, of potential downfalls. And each side will be able to find information to justify their points. It's all out there. There will be signs of, times are going to be slow. There will be signs times are going to be great. Ultimately, we don't know what the future holds. So far, everything's doing great as far as the economy goes. Everything, what a lot of people have been talking about is soft landing. So a soft landing, essentially, they're saying there is a recession, but it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, or it's not going to be as bad as it could be. And generally because the government, who controls the currency, controls money, is doing a somewhat good job at managing things to try to prevent a recession. Because nobody wants a recession, right? It's going to happen. There's no if and buts about it. It will eventually happen in the future. But nobody really wants that, because it hurts. People hurt. People. What we're having recently was a time of hyperinflation. Where inflation is going to happen naturally as well. Another thing that's going to happen naturally is just inflation. But there's a rate that, that is a good inflation and a rate that's bad inflation. you generally don't want negative inflation or deflation. Yeah, because that kind of hurts business, and businesses, employ people. Businesses, are employing people and, giving, money through work that people are doing in order to spend, all right, on the economy and buy things. So you don't really want a deflation type of event. There should be a steady, slow inflation. Why is there steady, low inflation? Because there's more people out there making money every single day. My son just got a job. He's earning money now. So, he's going to start to earn his own money and start to spend that own money. So more money is going to get circulated, and so eventually will be more money in the system. Now during the pandemic, which was a once in a lifetime event, and there were two pretty bad things that occurred to the economy. Well, obviously one of them was people were losing jobs. However, not necessarily a bad thing for the economy. What was bad was the fact that the government was handing out money and low interest rates. So there's a two-tier effect in devaluing currency, and you really don't want to. Well, I shouldn't say you don't want to devalue currency because Japan does it, but they don't necessarily produce or put more money into the market. I know everybody was putting money into their systems during the pandemic, but that was, like I said, once in a lifetime event. We'll probably never see that again in our lifetimes. But you don't want to put more money into your economy and devalue it by lowering interest. Devalue that money by lowering interest rates. So you're just basically saturating the market. And, everything will become more expensive because everybody has more money to spend on things. So the more money, people are like, oh, you're willing to spend, $2. This item was $1. You're willing to spend $2? Well, we'll jack it up to $2. And then that, that starts off with the basics, and then it goes up from there, on other types of items. A lot more luxury items start to go up. So you really don't want to pour money into a system and then make that money super cheap to basically lend or borrow. You don't want to, by lowering interest rates, that is. You don't want to make it super cheap. That's just a two-pronged approach that can really, really destroy an economy. And, unfortunately, the currency is very important to every economy, which is why whenever, the United States or anybody, is like, we want to hurt some other country. We don't want to go to war to them. We don't want to, blow them up, but let's hurt them economically. And, they'll prevent them from basically being able to buy and sell things, and that will hurt people. They hurt their economy that way. And it's a slow process. It's not the fastest process, but it does hurt, those countries over time. So one thing to look at history, one of the big things, if you're looking at history, as far as, when inflation and just the influx of money destroyed an empire, was the Spanish Empire. During, was 1700s, there was the Spanish, there was the British, and then there was the French. Sorry if you hear a horn, somebody's car alarm is going off outside. But the Spanish were the formidable force around that time frame. They had the top armada. I would possibly say, in my opinion, almost unbeatable. Kind of on par, if you go further back, the empire of Carthage, just a formidable empire, dominant force. And that was the Spanish, and so they used that dominance to, seek out new lands, expand their empire, of course. Well, what happened? They overexpanded. They overreached. And what was their main, what did they want? They wanted, gold, basic gold and silver. And they got so much gold and silver from the new world or new lands that they were, venturing out to, the Americas. And, they brought it back and they put it into their economy, and it just destroyed, what it did is just everybody just had money to going around. Obviously, they had, they were, being stretched thin due to their expanding empire, and eventually everything just came collapsed. And then there was, other, little problems here and there that occurred that just added on top of things. And then you just have a collapse of an empire. And of course, we know, that the British Empire rose, and was the most prominent at that, after them, and the rest is history. But, so, having necessarily a lot of money in a system isn't necessarily the best thing, because it can really, really, hurt people by causing hyperinflation. Inflation will happen over time. We want to avoid hyperinflation, a time where we just experienced a very crazy time where inflation just got out of control. Well, they were able to rein it in, because inflation can and will destroy economies, potentially countries as well. So if they don't get a hold of that, recession, not so much. Recession is just kind of a natural thing that will occur. It will happen. We can't avoid it. We can do things to create what's a soft landing, to try to help. It's all about balance. It's all about creating an equal balance. We don't want to. We don't want to create, too much, inflation. We don't want to create, too much deflation. We were in a state of deflation, but we don't want to go into the negative there. So it's just about balancing everything, having a steady state of inflation, because it's going to happen naturally. Recessions will happen naturally. It's just about being able to, balance. Balance the numbers of the economy. This stuff is kind of, I don't really study too much of it. It's not something that I really enjoy. But I do like to maintain a little bit of knowledge in that, dip my toes, so to speak, into that world, just to, be a little knowledgeable. And I think, a little bit of knowledge here and there is definitely worth it. You don't have to be necessarily an expert in anything, but you could be, what do they call it, a buff or something like that? Like a history buff, like an economics buff, something like that. So, don't listen to everybody that's screaming, recession or gloom and doom with the economy, and in regards to reselling, that you're not going to be able to resell anything, that nobody's going to be paying up for anything, rising costs, rising this, rising that, everything like that. Don't buy into it. I don't buy into it. There's going to be people that will be able to find, right now, there's a lot of talk of doom and gloom, because right now, everything's up. Everything's doing great. Everything, economy's doing well. Yes, there are going to be people who suffer in high times. There'll be people who suffer in low times. I was watching another video not too long ago where they said people are suffering. People are hurting right now. Yes, but there will be people, those same people, or maybe not necessarily those same people, but there will be people who are hurting in up times and hurting in down times. It's the way the economy works, and hopefully through my videos and through others videos in the reselling world, which I definitely think is a great way to earn a living, earn some money, extra money maybe, because you're just taking something and you're putting it online and you're reselling it. And I believe eBay is the best conduit for that. It just makes it so easy. It's the the top dog in the industry. It just makes it so easy just to pick up an item, list it, and go. Whether you want to do it, part-time, whatever that part-time looks for you, or you want to do it full-time, it can definitely help a lot of people, and I hope that I'm providing enough information here to help people, and that's my goal. Let's look at what's sold here. Okay, we're back here. I actually went to get something to eat really quick, and got some listings done. So I've done a few things in between cuts here, but let's go ahead and get over to the what's sold, and we move over a little bit to have room for the pictures. And first one here is a Disneyland visor. Now I got a bunch of visors at $1 a piece. This was one of them. Oh wait, was this one of them? No, this was from a Goodwill find. Never mind, scratch that, because I did recently pick a bunch of visors up. This is from a Goodwill find, and pretty cool. I mean, it's sold for $21. No, wrong. I'm all messed up right now. $22.50 is what it's sold for. So Disney hats, Disney Parks hats, Disneyland hats. This came from Disneyland. I try to look for the more vintage ones. Some of the modern ones definitely do sell. You don't want to pay too much. Like all hats, generally, for the most part, you're looking around $10-ish. And these are hats that I typically like to source. Hats, sports hats, golf hats, cool hats. Cool in my opinion, cool hats. So Disney hats are fall in that same realm, about $10, maybe $15. So this is definitely a little bit of an outlier. It was in great condition. It was a vintage Disney Parks. It had the Disneyland tag on the inside still, and $22.50. So great sale. Definitely look out for it. Okay, next item here is an interesting one because I sold this last year, about the same time frame, for about the same price. I got it back as a return to seller, which, you know, initially is kind of odd. You know, I do get a lot of return to sellers with, you know, without any. You get it back and then all of a sudden you don't hear anything. You would expect people to be like, hey, you know, something's going on. But no, it's actually very rare, which is kind of initially kind of odd. But I have family that does this exact thing. Like, they're like, oh, did I get something? Did I not get something? I don't know what happened to it. And then just out of sight, out of mind. And so it happens. $21.55. We sold it again, and it's a Disney Nightmare Before Christmas, full of Jack Skellingtons all over it. Nothing crazy. We thought it was probably worth more than when we initially bought this last year when it sold. We thought probably about $40 or $50. But upon looking it up, it's not really worth that much. It's just a part of a costume. There was a mask and other accessories that came with it. So this was just the jacket. Another $21.55. Pretty good. Sold again. Hopefully it doesn't come back again as a return to seller. I mean, I'll sell it again if I have to, but really cool. So it's sold again, about the same time frame, about the same price. Next item is a very cool, very interesting item. It's an old cell phone, and it runs on the 2G network, if any of you guys remember that. Not that we even, you know how everything's 4G, 5G. We didn't even pay attention to the G's back then. It was just the cell phone. We didn't really do much on it except call people. There was barely, when I first got it, there was no texting at all either at that time. And then this one actually, I think, does text message, but you have to go, you know, the letters are behind the numbers. So ABC is one number, then you got to find, you know, it's incredibly difficult. But really cool. I picked this up. It's kind of like a no-name brand, New Mind. No idea. If you remember the movie Enemy Mind, I mean, that's what it kind of reminds me of. But it's in the shape of a Ferrari. It doesn't say Ferrari on it, but it's in the shape of a Ferrari. It makes all kinds of car sounds. I included a couple pictures there. Really cool item, and sold relatively fast. Took about a day to sell at $27. Cool vintage flip phones. These things still sell. I sold a beeper too, which I forgot to put in this video. I'll probably do it in another video. But I sold a beeper recently too for $25. So keep an eye out for these older vintage phones. Not just like the touchtone phones or the rotary phones. These ones sell just as well. So next item is an AMD processor. This is an old processor. This is vintage. It's the AMD Athlon 3000 Plus, so 2 gigahertz processor. I believe this is a single core. It's important to note the socket type. And if you don't know, you can definitely look these up, and it'll tell you what the socket type is. 754. These ones might get a little confusing because this is when they were transitioning from socket 754 to 939, and but still a great processor from its day. Obviously, it's nothing like today. However, some older games, and I've built, you know, vintage or older retro rigs to play these older games because they will not play on modern hardware. Even some I've downloaded from Steam. Because of Steam, it's where you can go download a bunch of PC games, buy them, you can download them. And I try to play some older games on Steam, but it won't play on any of my modern multi-core processors. My main computer, the 16-core processor, the game just won't work on that. One of the games, I'm trying to think of one of the games that I like to play, but I couldn't do it. I had to have a single core rig. It would have run on a multi-core system, so I had to have a single core rig. So some of these things are still pretty desirable. And then so there's some of those people that have to have the physical copies of the games. And if you have physical copies of some of these older games, you're definitely not going to be able to use these on modern computers. So these things are still out there. They're still needed. One thing to mention, the processor of a PC, of all the components that go into a PC, that's the one that's the least likely to be damaged. Now, some of these, like these AMD ones, so Intel transitioned away from pins underneath the CPU a long time ago. It's called LGA. LGA is AMD. It's what Intel does. There's no pin. There's like little gold pads on the bottom. There's still pins underneath. This is a PGA. I think I got those right. PGA. I don't remember the acronyms that well, but I believe it's PGA where it has the actual pins underneath it. Now you can check the pins, make sure there's no bent pins on these AMD processors. If they're inside the original packaging, generally they'll be well protected, but you still got to check them out and make sure that none of the pins are bent on the bottom. Sometimes they can be fixed. I have fixed them before in the past. I fixed the pins on these. I fixed the pins on motherboards. It is fixable. If any are broken off, then it's kind of like, some of them don't do anything. So sometimes you can get away with a broken pin. You will have to disclose that. However, if it's clean, everything looks good, all the pins look good, everything, look it up online. Like, look to see what the pin layout is supposed to look like. But I would be comfortable selling these without testing them. I can test these because I have a lot of this old hardware, modern hardware, old hardware. I have a lot of this stuff laying around. So I can test these and try to get maximum dollar. You could sell them as for parts. I would be comfortable selling this as used working because the likelihood of the processor actually not working is pretty low. There's still a chance. But the likelihood is low. The chance is low. So, okay, next item over here is a Sony Walkman cassette player. Used, these sell for around $20-ish. Some models can go for a little bit more. Working, that is. For parts, you can still sell them for parts for around $10. Brand new in the package, $150. Keep an eye out for brand new in the package, especially if it has the accessories, the headphones with it as well too. That can make it worth even more if you have it used. Obviously, if it's brand new, it should have everything in there in the package with it, and $150. These things are still out there. All these old stuff. I mean, this is from the. I think this was from the 90s. So keep your eye out for this stuff. It's still around. You'll be surprised going to Goodwills, flea markets. You'll find all this stuff from the 80s, 90s. Like I found some old Star Trek stuff, which Star Trek toys aren't really worth it, in pristine condition. And then I opened it because I know it's not going to be worth anything now. It's not going to be worth anything in the future. But I used it for the recent toy convention I went to. Some of the Star Trek stuff I found. But a lot of this stuff is still brand new in the package. It's out there to be found. $150, Sony Walkman. Keep your eye out for it. Another cool item to look out for, and cool because it's Disneyland, these are the Disneyland travel mugs. Now, these mugs you typically find, I don't know about Disney World, I'm pretty sure it's the same place to find them. But in Disneyland, you can find these in the carts. Usually, for us in Disneyland, you'll typically find them at, there's like when you're first walking into Disneyland, there's the train setup and all that. Right after that, there's like a little courtyard area, and there's a little vendor set up selling popcorn, churros, all kinds of stuff. And they'll have these little these reusable mugs. Typically, I do see them more at night when they bring out the coffee, the hot chocolate, and all that, because they're insulated. So they're just double-walled insulated cups. That's more when you'll see them out and about. And we like picking them up, the cool, unique ones. These ones are a little bit more just the generic kind. There are really cool, character design ones. There was a Maleficent dragon one. I don't know why I never bought it, but I didn't. It was several years ago, and I was like, oh, well. So, I mean, we go to Disneyland all the time. We really like all these little souvenir things. All these little, they are somewhat cheap products, but they still sell. They still have a collector's market out there for them. They do retire them, so at some point they do, they stop making those designs. These mugs don't really go for too much, or right around $10, so you're not going to want to pay too much. They can hang around for a while, so I wouldn't pay more than maybe $1 for them. $2 maybe at the most. So, but definitely something to keep an eye out for if you're bundling items, if you're at the flea market. Typically when I find these at Goodwill, they're around $3 to $5, which getting a little bit too much to pick these up. But if you're at the flea market, at a garage sale, try to get them for $1. Throw them in a big old bundle of other items. Try to bring that overall cost of each individual item down. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed those what solds. Hopefully getting back to a little bit of a normal schedule today. It's getting, or this week, or going forward, I should say. It's getting hot again. I don't know what's going on. It was nice, cool, normal weather around here, around this time of year, and all of a sudden, the furnace kicks on. So it's like, oh my God. We're dying over here again, but hope you guys are staying cool where you guys are at, and hope you guys are finding cool, unique items. Let me know what you guys think about the first half of the video. Let me know what you guys think of the what sold down in the comments down below. Otherwise, let's like the video, subscribe, bell notification, and see you in the next one.